Welcome back to another epic build. Today I'm building another tree house. I've attempted it before and it ended up like a hybrid tree house on a beach thing. This time I certainly got a tree house, so very happy with that, and I kind of went with a more eerie look. Obviously you can see the picture on the left hand side, nice and big for once, and it kind of just sprouted from here. I tried to keep with some key points in this picture as it was I was requested for it to be done, and I was literally sent this picture and I've sort of been putting it off, in all honesty, kind of looking at it like the roofing. I really wanted to get the roofing right, and I kind of went with something that looked a little bit funky but in essence kind of came across with the same thing. So it really went all out in the landscaping. I would say I'm getting better at landscaping, but in all honesty, doing a little hole and then bringing it up and then bringing another bit up, it's certainly not the most advanced landscaping I've attempted, but it is definitely the best. So with adding straight away with the buildings itself, trying to get the shape that was in that picture, and mostly quite difficult to tell because it's a 2D picture, I can't see around the sides etc, but the main thing was to go around that tree and go straight into the steps. There are lots of stairs in here to see the picture. I think there's like 4, maybe 5 different sets of stairs leading to places, and that was the biggest challenge of this build, trying to get them in the right place, especially with the building floating. As you can tell with the stairs, I've actually sort of started from the bottom to go to the top, so I recommend you actually do the opposite thing and go top to bottom. This way you know where it lands and it kind of goes better and a lot easier, it fits together. So as you can tell, start having a lot of issues, and this is why, because I didn't think about it, went bottom to top and then I had to redo it the other way around so I could line them all up properly. Luckily, I didn't have to do the whole thing. So definitely recommend doing top to bottom with stairs and going on to loads more stairs as well. And also just stair crazy. Everything is stair crazy. And here again, we've got that same problem, but unfortunately because it's going across and there is a sort of very light decline, it was easier to keep in a line. But at the same time, when it came to adding that one extra one on, I kind of had to just move things around. Because it's floating, moving the flooring and making it bigger than it needs to be helps be able to place the stairs themselves, purely because it's got more area, so it just goes straight to where it wants to go, and then you've also got the space to twist it and put in those lovely corners or swells or whatever you want to call them. So that is also a bonus, and then once you've got that small area that it does need, you can just shrink it from there, and that makes it a lot easier. So the most complex thing about this was definitely the stairs, and even after playtesting I had to switch 2 lots of the stairs around because they just wouldn't work. And the weirdest thing ever was that they would either go up one way and not come down them, which is what I found with the first set of stairs, that I ended up putting stairs facing both ways because they would come up one side and go down the other side, but they wouldn't do up and down on one set of stairs. So I ended up having 2 sets and making it point out both ways just so it worked, which is weird because, yeah, apparently we've got a one-way system going on that I did not know about. So other than the stairs, the sort of basic blueprint of this build was quite easy. In the picture you could see defined little pieces here and there, and sort of just tried to create them around the tree and try and imagine the bits that I couldn't see. With the roofing, I was a bit disappointed because there's these beautiful pointed roofs and things, and I couldn't quite necessarily add like the curve in it so it could swirl around, and I did try. So I got a little bit more creative with the roofing, and it was mostly a happy accident. I think that's the best way to describe it, especially on the furthest side. Everything else is quite plain. I tried to add that extra point into it that you kind of get in your sort of stereotypical witch's house, and the other one I added, like, instead of having that curvature, I added the extra spike off it just to try and give that vibe of eerie and haunted and mysterious, and just so it kind of still looked a little bit witchy, because that's basically what I thought when I saw the whole of the picture. I was like, well, this is what we're gonna do with it. So everything's now joined up, because obviously I forgot that there was a little random floaty bit. And I hate it where it floats and you see the white lines, so I've added in the, can't really remember what they're called, but I was about to say eaves, but they're not, but they go around the bottom anyway, around the flooring, and that just makes me a lot happier. I hate when it sticks out white, and sometimes these little sort of wooden bits around the floor, they end up sticking out too far and then making everything all over the place. So yeah, this is where my little accident happens with falling in love with how the roof was. So I love the idea of it sort of being very off-centre, and as well as having these extra sort of bits coming out. And then from there it kind of just developed into this weird, spiky, confused building. And yeah, I just really think it went with the whole of the tree house and everything else. So that was my happy accident. I was trying to figure something out and it happened. So these are the second set of stairs that caused trouble, and to be honest, they go really steep, which was probably half of my trouble. And then there is also, weirdly, this little bridge that I make across here as well, which unfortunately, I don't know what the reason was, couldn't walk over it at all. And I moved it one square back and it fixed it, and the sim was just like happy skipping along like, yeah, it's all good. It's like, well, there was nothing in place of it one forward, but okay, if you're happy and you want to work, we'll deal with it. So I kind of tried to have lots of different sections. I wanted them to not be linked to the outer part, so they could just sort of sneak around the other side to go up there. I wanted to make them, like, you will go across my little bridge. Took forever to do. It didn't actually take forever to do, but that's my thinking. So these lights, this is something that is a part of the picture, and you can see them dangling down. I was thinking that this would make an awesome, absolutely awesome lot for being off the grid. And I perfected it right up until the end, and then I realised that these lights that I fell in love with that were perfect for the dangling down lights, they could not be used. Everything else in this build can be. And I was so frustrated, and I was like, do I change the lights? And I really like the lights. What do I do? So I gave up. I was like, essentially, it's off the grid, except for these lights. But I fell in love with them that I just didn't have the heart to change them. So to add the dangling down bit, I actually used a drain pipe thing that is in the build mode, and you get it on with the window decorations, so it comes there and it normally just goes onto the wall, etc. And I made it dangle down. You can kind of see little points off it, but I think it works pretty well. I was quite proud of myself. I couldn't actually think of anything else to put there. And now we finally get to this other sort of decoration point, and to be honest, the decoration is very minimalist when it comes to the whole of it. It's all very natural looking, especially the walls, the floors, and very but on the upside, I didn't have to really overthink the whole decoration on what wallpaper to put in. So these two roofs, I actually fell in love with this. I kind of thought, shoot, my Sims can't get through onto the other platform, so I'm gonna have to do something. So I end up putting these two roofs together. Not together, separate. Together but separate and confused, as you can tell. And I end up putting the wood on there to try and make it seem like a bit of a makeshift roof. Like, we couldn't find all the materials for this, so we just made it up as we went along. But I love the wood vibe on this. I wasn't expecting it to go quite so well, and I just feel like this small detail makes this build. And it just kind of puts it together. It just adds that natural vibe to it. I mean, the flooring really doesn't look that particularly natural. It's not like wood that you've gone and picked up in the forest itself and made this awesome tree house. But it just kind of, to me, it really emphasises the idea that this is a build that's out in nature. So start nice simple little terrace roof here, kind of not entirely sure where this idea came from. I wanted the Sims to be able to obviously go up here, and it was just like an empty room, so I added it. I was like, well, might as well add a bit of shade, and instead of like just adding a full-on roof and intersecting with that tree, which is all honesty, that was the biggest worry, that it was going to intersect with the tree and then it was just going to stick out the other side and look really odd and weird, and there would be bits of roof coming out of the tree as well, which it could have looked pretty cool, could have looked like the tree had grown over it. However, I did not really think it would look like that either. So I ended up putting the little fencing in, and so you put that on the floor above. Basically what you do is you add your flooring above it, and then you put the fencing on, which then secures it all as tiny little rooms, in this case tiny little triangle rooms, and then you delete the floor from inside, which can be really tricky and fiddly. So finally done with the outside, and it is all very simple, as I said, the floor and everything else, and went crazy, but not to the point it didn't go past the whole natural look. So I ended up trying to change this bridge so it was more like a little humpback bridge. In the end, to me, it looked a little bit too square and bumpy, so I ended up taking it all the way back down again and thinking maybe a simple straight bridge is actually a little bit nicer, rather than this little humpy thing that didn't quite work. If it was longer, I think it would have looked a lot nicer. It would have maybe given it a bit more of a curve. But it certainly did not work with this bridge. So I started thinking, I've seen so many people add like so many rocks and creating this awesome thing where it goes all the way around the outside of the little hills or cliffs, etc. And I wanted to do that, and as you can tell, I didn't do as many rocks as I maybe had the idea of doing. But in this case, I kind of feel like maybe making it simpler was better than overdoing it. There's so much going on, especially in that smaller area with the stairs, that I'm going to keep telling myself it's okay, because it still looks awesome and we don't need that many rocks anyway, as much as it gives it a great texture onto the actual little cliff bits and the hills, especially with that stone sort of thing that happens when you raise it up. It annoys me that that happens. I haven't seen a hill that goes straight to stone and just has a grass bit on top. Why can't we have grass there? Why can't I change it so we can put a different floor texture on it and it's not stones? Which is a reason why I quite often do not enjoy doing any landscaping whatsoever, just because the whole stone texture thing on the ground just annoys me, when in the build I'm trying to do, it should be all green or maybe all sand. So anyway, now I've had my little rant about landscaping. I added in trees and foliage. Didn't want to go over the top with the sort of flowers and floral side of it. I wanted it to look quite natural. And I included a lot of the vampire trees in there as well, because it kind of goes with the world I use, because I was about to say Sleepy Hollow. Close enough, but Forgotten Hollow, which is obviously from the Vampires pack, and it just went with this build. It went with the whole idea and look of what I wanted this build to do, and I'm actually really grateful for that, because I never really want to build in Forgotten Hollow, because I just don't see the point, in all honesty. I kind of look at it and I'm like, it's so dark and dreary. I just don't want that for my build. But it was perfect. For the first time, it is absolutely perfect. So this is my attempt in trying to figure out whether I could actually use the thingy, what do you call it, off the grid lot tray. I got it, and I went crazy looking for all the different lights I could use and select that were off the grid to make this sort of outside part that goes with the picture where it has like the pumpkins, etc. It was just full of lights and beautiful, and you're like really in your face. So I went crazy literally finding everything I could that would go well with it, and then I was like, no, I can't do it. And then I was like, wait, yes I can. We'll just go with it. I want it to be this, and I may have messed up a little bit before, but I can just do it from here anyway. And obviously if somebody really wants it to be off the grid like it's intended but I failed at, then you just need to get rid of those hanging lights at the back. There's other ones you can change them for, so it's not a big deal. So this was definitely the most enjoyable bit, doing all the lights around the outside, and it was so satisfying turning it to night and just seeing them all like shine and glisten. Stuck with very simple design throughout the whole of the interior. I wanted it to seem kind of old and used and very sort of minimal without it being too minimal that there's nothing to do either. And I have no idea if that even makes sense, to be honest. Biggest problem I had, because I was trying my hardest to stick with this whole idea of off the grid, was trying to figure out what fridge to use. So I ended up googling it, and apparently the vintage icebox, not blocks, icebox is an off the grid refrigerator. It just doesn't have it on the little information pop up. So I put that one in, and yet again I don't actually know if it is off the grid or not, because this tiny build, it has an awkward shape. I wouldn't necessarily say the whole build is tiny, but definitely this room, and the shape of it made things very difficult to figure out what to do with. And you may also see that I kind of deliberately not matching any of the furniture whatsoever, because I wanted it to kind of look like it came from a thrift store. Everything sort of, I don't know, you got your rugs that you found in the dump yard, and you were just like, wait, I can get soft feet instead of splinters while I'm cooking or sitting on my chair. I really wanted it to be colourful and to stand out, and yet also have that sort of look that it's not like the perfect interior whatsoever. So I go on to this room more like my study room, but I also kind of have, I forgot what it was called, the pot thing that just got placed, absolutely rubbish. Cauldron, that's the one. So I added the cauldron and kind of squeezed things into this room somehow, quite efficiently. And you may notice, especially when turning around in this room, that these windows are not all at the same level. This was deliberate. I didn't want them to be at the same level. Just that whole idea of this being a makeshift home for somebody that's either, run away or been expelled from somewhere or exiled. That was the word I was actually thinking of. So I kind of wanted it to look a little bit like that. And then we finally get onto the bedroom, which I kind of tried to do the same with, but I think it looks a lot more tidy than the rest of it. And as you can see, it's suddenly like, oh my gosh, I forgot there's cobwebs, there's little cracks in the walls, and I didn't put any of these in, and it's kind of just what I wanted and just what I needed to add this all together, just to get this whole thing going and linking together. And I don't know what I'm really saying again anymore. They're just doing my usual confusing stuff. So anyway, I also equipped this for cats specifically as well. I just love the idea of sort of like that it looks like it could be a cat home with all the different levels and etc. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the cat house, with the scratching poles etc. that were just placed in the bedroom. So I love that idea that maybe we would specify this for cats. And this room, I didn't have a clue what to put in it. In all honesty, that room I was kind of messed around with a few ideas, and then I really loved the idea of the bar. And it wasn't quite big enough, so it made it bigger to suit my needs when it came to that room. I kind of wanted it nice and small, and I was debating a bedroom to start with, but it just didn't quite fit with the build, I guess. It was like I could fit in one spare bed, and then that'll be it. That'll be the whole room. So anyway, just adding in a few more little decorations and plants just to open it up a little bit, make it even better environmentally and prettier. And this is my adjustments to the stairs that I've spoken in length about because they were stressful. However, I got it to work, and they actually can go up and down, so that's what matters most. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely give a go at doing your own treehouse. It certainly takes a lot to figure out the dimensions and things. My first treehouse was a fail, but don't give up. Stay awesome and be kind, guys. At the moment, just smiling or waving or saying hello to someone across the street can make a massive difference. Enjoy your day and lives, and don't forget to be kind to each other.